So it feels like today there's been a bit of a lull in the takeover story. There's no real news to report, so I thought I'd do a quick recap of the timeline of events so far. In January we heard that there was a bid from Staveley, the Reuben brothers and the Saudi PIF, and it kind of all went quiet after that until March the 30th, and then claims came out on March the 30th that the Premier League had been made aware of a £340 million bid for the club. Newcastle United and the Premier League make no comment at that point. There are reports over the next few days that the price could be as low as £300 million, but no one really knows the exact figure. That's between Mike Ashley and Amanda Staveley's consortium. So then on April the 14th, the takeover hype goes into overdrive after eagle-eyed fans spot some documents have appeared on Companies House. These documents were dated April the 8th and showed transactions between Mike Ashley's St James's Park Holdings, MASH, and Staveley's company. Since then, we're told that a £17 million non-refundable deposit has been made, and that the Premier League checks have been underway, and that they could take between 2 and 4 weeks to complete. Nobody knows the exact date that these started, but we're kind of assuming it was around the 8th to the 14th of April. So if that's true, we're looking at the Premier League checks to be completed somewhere between the 5th and the 11th of May. It's also been reported that there's a period of exclusivity for this bid from the Saudi PIF and Staveley and the Reuben brothers, and that ends sometime in the middle of May. So we're right on track if that's the case, and the buyer's side apparently remain confident that the deal is going to happen. But there's been plenty of other stuff that has gone on over the last few weeks as well, so I'll just round some of those things up. There's been a few efforts to kind of derail the bid. Most notably came from Richard Keys and his employer, Qatari state-owned beIN Sports, who accused the Saudis of pirating their TV coverage, something that Qatar took to a court in France and lost. It's worth pointing out at this point as well that the issues between Qatar and Saudi Arabia go much bigger than any kind of football issues. The two countries absolutely hate each other, and a story kind of recently came out this week that if Saudi's bid to buy Newcastle is successful, then they could be looking to get the Premier League rights for themselves. So the motive of beIN Sports and Qatar becomes a bit more clear if you take that into context. We've also seen Amnesty International write a letter to the Premier League asking them to block this deal and make it not go through. The Premier League in return quite swiftly sent them a letter back, basically saying that they will do their checks as normal. The government also were put under pressure to comment on it, and the government said pretty much straight away they weren't going to get involved in the deal at all. In the past week, we've also had some significant Saudi players sort of begin following the Newcastle Twitter accounts, including the Crown Prince's brother and the Saudi Sports Minister as well. That seems pretty significant, and there's a growing number of people in Saudi Arabia who are becoming active in the social media community. We've even seen reports of a second bid waiting in the wings should the exclusivity of the Saudi bid run out, though this doesn't really seem that credible. The bid is from an American-based TV executive. On top of all that, we've also been linked with a range of managers, from Rafa returning to Pochettino, and Allegri as well, as seems to be another popular name. One of the more bizarre things linked to that to emerge has been TalkSport in particular, but general media, their insistence via a range of very mediocre pundits that Steve Bruce is somehow a better choice than all of the other managers that we've been mentioned. So how do I feel about all this? I felt sure it was going to happen last week, but I'm still sort of happy that we're within the time frame needed for the Premier League checks to happen. If we're still sat here in another 10 days' time and it hasn't happened, then I'll be starting to get concerned. It might be that it happens this week coming or the week after, but it's definitely not a time to panic just yet, in my view. Thanks very much for taking the time to watch my video. If you've enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, or if not, just feel free to click on another video that is appearing on your screen now, and I will see you really soon for another video.